Dude, close your mouth when you eat. That's so gross.
Sorry.
That's better. Now keep doing that. Otherwise, what do you think people are thinking about you at the restaurant, man?
Pros.
They're like, who's that cow chewing with his mouth open? Right?
Yeah.
You don't want people to look at you and you don't want to stick out, right? So just chew your food normally, keep your lips closed. And...
Yeah.
Alright.
Alright, so that last video was an example of giving social feedback. That's really important that we're giving our clients feedback on social things such as nonverbal behavior, or in that video, Carlos gave Tyrone feedback on how he was chewing. And so as therapists, sometimes it's tempting to let those things go and not comment because we care about our clients and we don't actually care that they're doing that. But it's going to help them socially if we give them that feedback. And if we don't, we might actually be teaching them that those things are okay to do. And so we want to help them succeed socially, so they need that feedback. And one thing I'd like to point out as well, not only did Carlos give Tyrone feedback as to chewing with his mouth closed, but he also gave him the why behind why it's important for Tyrone to keep his mouth closed when he's chewing. So when working with your client, it's important that you notice those areas where they might need some feedback socially, and then find ways to practice it and look for opportunities where you can be in settings where they can apply those skills. So I have a couple of questions that I'm hoping Carlos can answer for me in regards to how he balances that with the clients he works with. So the first thing I want to ask you about is it's important to maintain a good relationship with your clients.
Right.
And feedback sometimes can, not be fun to hear. So how do you balance that, giving the feedback but also, still being connected with them?
Most of the feedback that I give is going to be that it's just one-on-one with us or the therapy team and the client. You don't necessarily want to embarrass them or call them out in front of a lot of people. There might be certain situations or circumstances that you do to prove a social point, but I think that would become farther down the line after you've done just the initial hey, one-on-one, we're talking to you about this issue, and call them out. I do think it's important to address a lot of the issues, especially if they are made to stand out socially, when their objective is to fit in socially. So that's usually when I would call them out. Usually try to use some humor in there or something to kind of boost their confidence back up towards the end. That way they're not leaving me on a sour note, and they're kind of, the experience is more of a good experience rather than just, hey, I called you out for something and now it's done and over with.
Sure. So one thing that we talk about in therapy a lot is the 80-20 ratio of 80% of therapy should be neutral or fun, and then that 20% is more pushing our clients outside of their comfort zone and things like that. So how does that play into what you just described?
Sure. I think the 80% of the good, fun, that kind of stuff is just developing relationships. And when we were eating breakfast there with Tyrone, we were just kind of hanging out. We were talking about his day, things that were going to go on, things that kind of peers or friends would talk about, not necessarily that we play a friend or peer role, because we're more of a mentorship role, but just there to provide normal conversation and normalcy. A lot of times joking around or just doing things that the guys would do is really important to do as well. I think that then you build that respect with that client, that then they'll appreciate your feedback and understand that it's an important aspect to their growth.
Great. So then the last question I have for you is, how do you decide if you're going to let something go, you're going to maybe joke about it in a friendly way, or call them out in a more serious, stern way?
Sure. I think it depends on the action that the client's doing. If it's hurtful or hurting somebody, then I directly call them out right away without any joking manner, because I don't want them to get the idea that, hey, this is just going to be blown off and it's not a big deal. If it's something minor and social that might just make them stand out and the effect is just for them and their sake, not that that's not important, but it's not directly affecting or hurting somebody else. So I take that a little lighter and kind of bring to light what's being affected and how they're affected socially, or whether it's vocationally in the job place or with their family. So I think it's just a matter of also who's around as well. If their family's around and you're comfortable calling them out in front of that kind of stuff, and you have people to back you up, that's also a good time to do it as well. But I wouldn't try to embarrass them, since most of the guys and girls we're working with are trying to work on those social skills, and then that's only going to bring them down socially.
All right. Well, great. Thanks for listening.